So, I'm here with Luke Dowler. He's going to be playing our next Press Play show coming up in March. We took a little break and we're coming back again. How are you doing today, Luke?
Doing good. Yeah. Just staying warm and actually just kind of kicking back here in my little guitar space studio.
You've been around. You've been a musician for quite a long time. I think I read in a bio that you've been playing for 20 years, and you're a Kalispell native. How did you get into music? How'd you get started?
I was a military brat, and guitar was just something that I could kind of have with me at all times, and so music was the thing that I could kind of disappear into, and it just made sense. There was never really a moment that was like, I want to do this. It was more like a sword in the stone moment when I pulled my mom's guitar out from under the bed, and it was kind of like, all right, I guess this is what I'm doing now. And I've kind of been doing it for most of my life.
Cool. So your mom played as well?
I don't think she did. No, it was a gift that she got from her brother, and it just kind of kicked around with all the other stuff as we moved from place to place, and I just discovered it at the right time, and then she gave it to me. So
Very cool.
yeah.
So at what point did you guys move to Kalispell?
Well, I was born in Kalispell.
Okay.
I was born in Kalispell, and my folks ended up my dad re-enlisted in the military, and that took us away at a real early age. I mean, I don't think I was born yet, so there was always a plan to come back. That was where the family was going to settle once the tours of duty and going from 20-year career got put in, which did, and this is where my family always kind of said, wherever we went, oh, this place is it's okay, but nothing's like Montana. We're gonna get back there once we're all kind of through with the career in the Marines, and that's what happened.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, it's always good to come back home.
yeah. Well, I never knew it. So when I came back, it was brand new. It was all new. And I've since then, of course, I mean, I've been all over the state, and I love Montana, and proud to actually have been born here.
So you got into music, felt very natural for you. Did you always know you wanted to sing, or was it instrument first that came for you?
It was kind of one and the same, but had to learn the instrument first because you kind of have to connect two different places in your brain to be able to use that. So I had to get to a certain place, and a lot of times then once I finally kind of freed up my hands and my space and the brain to not think about the instrument and start thinking about singing and the different rhythms and cadences, and it was usually done late at night while the family was asleep, or where I could just kind of quietly work on, I guess, carving out space for both. So a lot of late night, early morning sessions is kind of wood shopped the ability to be able to do it, or at least to I guess to be able to if that's what you want to call what I do. But yeah, I wanted to definitely be able to sing and play a song that I had written kind of from day one. That was the goal.
Yeah. So you've been songwriting the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. I've got lots and lots of half-written and unfinished and finished songs, and uh, it's actually I've got notebooks and notebooks of stuff that a lot of times I'll pull out, uh, and the cringe is it comes out. I'm like, well, there's a reason why I didn't take that any further. Um, and of course, now I have probably 5 dead phones that I just keep because I've got notes that won't fit, or just different fragments of voice memos and things. And I've never taken the time, too lazy, I guess, never taken the time to actually upload them to one central spot. But um, yeah, songwriting is has been a thing, and that I think maybe that was the driving, even beyond the guitar and the singing, was probably the songwriting, and the ability to kind of conjure something up and um, and be a vessel for it, and also communicate. Yeah, songwriting has definitely been the driving force. I mean, that's been a whole process too of carving out and being inspired by different um, genres or styles, or at different moments and times in life, and then investigating that and seeing how that kind of shade or color paints with the tools that I have. And that's been fun. I think that's also a big part of the exploration thing. Uh, exploration, just exploring music and what I can, how I can operate in it has been part of, I guess, the fun for me.
Yeah, I could see that a lot. Your sound seems like a bunch of different, like, influences, brought together. So, back when you started, what was the music that you were, like, super into that was giving you lots of inspiration compared to, like, what gives you inspiration these days?
Yeah, it was all attitude. It was punk rock. It was punk rock and a little bit of, excuse me, uh, ska and reggae. And then that kind of moved into bands like Clash and Police, some of the UK legends. Um, and then from there, it kind of went all over the place. I mean, there was, the grunge kind of Seattle sound stuff, and I kind of would break periods of music up and digest and be really into that, and then I get really into like '90s West Coast hip hop, and then I get really into uh, Bob Dylan and digesting as much as of his stuff, and until some other thing would catch my ear. And um, yeah, there's been a lot of inspirations for sure.
When did you put out your first album?
When I moved back to Kalispell, it was my senior year of high school, and I came back actually with punk rock and ska, and I'd been writing all these songs, and I wanted to form my first band, and it was hard though because there wasn't much um, of the music that I was listening to, was people weren't quite aware of it, or musicians weren't there. There was nobody was really doing it, so I had to convince the band members that we were forming a swing band because they could understand what swing was. And so we got together and we played for a while. That would have been the first album. The band's name was, well, we were the Decepticons, and then we had to change the name because of a licensing infringement with a band in California. And we changed our name to the Royal Rangers, and we had a Canadian Mountie as the logo, and put out a 6-song record, and then that graduated into a full album that is there's a lot of people actually that I got to dig it out. I only have like 1 or 2 copies of it, but there's a lot of folks around here that'll come up and they want to copy it. They want to listen to it. Cause it was a fun record for sure. So that would have been, um, man, that would have been around probably 99 or 2000. Yeah. And then from there it went, there were a few more albums that kind of graduated with, another band called 3 Minutes from Home, and we toured for, a while, kinda all over the US and all over Canada and, Australia, and then it just made sense for me because as band members and, folks were musicians, but they weren't musicians that wanted to do it for a living or life situations. People would come in and rotating doors of people, and that became real hard to keep a band project going because, um, people kind of fall in love with certain people or players, and then where are they? They're gone, and you're teaching new people and working a whole new dynamic, trying to learn. Um, so I just kind of said, well, I know I'm doing this. This is the thing I'm going to do. So I'm just going to drop trying to put together a band, um, and just start using my name as the kind of project. Like, even though I think I really love, I love the band dynamic in the band, but it just got to be, it's really difficult when you put in so much work to a project and then folks for, justifiable reasons. So sometimes, band drama or whatnot, then you kind of find yourself, you're high and dry and you got to start all over again. So, and then I put out a couple albums, few albums. I really couldn't tell you how many albums I put out. Um, some of them, uh, some of them have gone in the vault, like the Disney vault. Um, but the latest one I just put out, this last year is probably my favorite. So, and I know that's kind of what we're supposed to say, but it really is. It's kind of like it's a fully, um, kind of thought out albums. It was my, one of the best experiences making it too. We made it down on Lake Mary Ronan in a cabin, a place called Camp Tuffet, and then came up and did some other stuff in a Snoring Hound Studios, with Dave Griffith, his spot there in Kalispell, and put some finishing touches on it as well, with Toby Scott and his studio in Whitefish, and then got to kind of release it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I was wanting to ask about the new album. It sounds like the process of making it was really fun. Is it cool to be able to? Yeah, I ask a lot of musicians this. It seems easy and also just like a good deal that you're able to go to these studios here in Montana to still get these high quality, studio recordings. How's that for you as a musician to not have to think about flying to this city or that city? I mean, it's all just like right here.
yeah, I think, um, not only are there studios, but I mean, obviously the tools have been put even in the musicians' hands themselves. You can make a whole album on your iPhone. You don't even, there's plenty of famous examples even, of that. So, so not just having the access, which, it has been, well, I mean, I built my own studio too. And so, a lot of things I would, even do myself. I've done records myself. And the thing that I loved about this last project was that, made it more of an event, meaning because it was outside, at least, I mean, it's not that far away, but it was still something where people kind of had to sequester themselves, which then everyone's minds are kind of, the dynamic of the group is kind of all on the project and not necessarily watching the clock and going like, how much more time can we afford? How much more time are we, able to yeah, pay for, or or even with the schedule, other everybody's schedule is kind of all in sync. So it really allowed for a cool process that I became a believer in for sure, of kind of the the band's going to some house in some place where they're living and recording kind of at the same time. I don't know. There was just a vibe and a feeling that brought the core of the album came from that, which was really only about 3 or 4 days. But a lot happens when everyone is all there together and you're sharing meals together, and then yeah, recording and creating some of the parts and pieces. So I'm a big believer in that, and I don't think that I necessarily answered the question, but I do think that there are. I mean, there's always been good studios. At the end of the day, it's um, having the right people with you in the room who can help draw out the best of what you do and understand what you want to do as well. Um, can and help facilitate it, and vice versa. So I think wherever you can find that, if that's um, with your buddies in a basement, or if that's at one of the studios around here, studios out of town, a lot of times you could get that experience that I was talking about, where you could sequester, and I think that that's valuable. Um, and then the other one, you get some name recognition out of it if you're going to a studio that's has some projects that have broken through um, kind of the public consciousness. You get name recognition for working with that studio, and it makes people actually go, "Oh, really? Okay, maybe I'll listen to that now." Because there's kind of value, but at the end of the day, I guess it comes down to where the best music that you can make. Where's it going to come from? Because that's the legacy I think that musicians should be thinking about, not necessarily the likes and the heart emojis and their views. I mean, that all counts, but I want to sit back and kind of look at the collection of stuff and be proud of it.
Midnight Conversations, uh, tell me a little bit more about, like, the concept behind the album, because just the title, I think, evokes, like, a certain feeling.
Mm. Yeah, well, the concept for Midnight Conversations really was about the types of conversations that you have. If you think about it, those late night conversations that there's a wide range. They're usually like either they're life changing conversations, they're heated arguments, they're philosophical ponderings and debates over a cup of coffee or at a late night diner, or you know um, a couple kind of the yeah, a couple's conversation late night. I mean, just the intensity, I guess, is a little um, specific to that time, and so it was just something that I was just kind of collecting, maybe even personally, but even just conversations throughout life, and just thinking about like those midnight conversations um, that stand out, that are kind of pivotal moments in somebody's life, where maybe something clicks, and a friend, a heart to heart, a confession, something that happens, you know, in those late night conversations. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some of the best conversations.
yeah, and the worst sometimes. So
Sometimes yeah, exactly, sometimes really bad.
yeah,
So I can see where that'd be really good fodder for songwriting. Is there a song off the album, or a few songs off the album that you really, really love performing, or that you just enjoyed the process of writing, or
there's there might be one or two. I mean, I pretty much, that's why I think this is my favorite album, because if listening back, I don't want to skip. I do have some albums where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm kind of over that. That had its time. That song had its moment. Some songs have kind of shelf lives, and a lot of songs, are they're the evergreen songs are the ones that, obviously radio stations keep playing for, because, they have that kind of life. But I love just about every single song, on this record, and, they're not, it's a listening for the most part, it's a listening record. There's a couple songs, it's not like a party record. Um, it's not it's not like, yeah, it's just the parts and pieces that I put it together and had friends contribute and everything. There's a lot of things that I'd done sonically even. Yeah, it's really difficult, and some of the stories where the songs came from to make them special and uniquely special to me, like, Annalise, which is the very last song on the record. I mean, I wrote that, uh, I was on tour, uh, in a basement club in Manhattan, about ready to, go on, and got a phone call that my, daughter was being rushed to the hospital, emergency room. Um, and I was kinda just gutted. I mean, there's nothing that I could do, except for just wait for the next phone call in a sense, because of the nature of the situation, and she had to have, emergency surgery, and so I had this period of time, before I could even think about coming back and figure out what was going on, where it was just I had no idea, and so I just grabbed my guitar and started writing a song as a bit of a therapeutic, and mental, way to kinda get through it, and that's I mean, I think that's one of my favorites, to perform, but the and everything ended up being, she's fully healthy, and, everything ended up working out, but yeah, I think there's some of the best songs, and I had a lot of local musicians in the Flathead, contribute to some of the horn players from 20 Grand, just had, a lot of local musicians, join in and work with me on playing parts, I'm really proud of, so.
So, yeah, you could put out the new album last year. What's in store for you for 2025?
A lot of tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah, playing music for a lot of tourists. Yeah, I'm actually enjoying, I th I spent a lot of time in a van, a lot of highway miles from here to Miami and up to start of the Alaskan highway, uh, and I enjoy being home, uh, and the the folks that do come a lot of times, playing a lot of shows just around the valley. That's actually one thing that I will say we're really fortunate is the opportunities that musicians have. They're pretty wide during the summer months, especially, but even during the winter, there's a lot of opportunities to eke out a living and support yourself, and so very fortunate or thankful for that. And now some of those opportunities are getting bigger, maybe spotlighted more, things like this. So that's really cool. But yeah, I don't really have much planned because I'm actually just looking forward to it warming up and playing some music and then getting out to the woods. So that's pretty much what like I said, I spent a lot of time on asphalt, so I like to get out and where there's no asphalt,
Right.
as much as I can.
Yeah. Are you a hiker or a backcountry camper? What's your summertime thing?
Yeah, well, I like to fly fish and yeah, I like to backpack. I like to basically bust my ass, just play as much as I can, and then once September hits, um, go by. Bye bye. That's kind of what I've been doing the last couple years, and we'll see if I get to do that again this year. But that's what I love doing, just disappearing into the mountains. So
Yeah, totally. Well, we're bringing you out of hibernation a little early this year for press play.
yes, yeah, I know I'm a little groggy, a little sleepy, but yeah, no, it's good. Looking forward to it. So
So that's going to be March 7th. We're really looking forward to it. And yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to chat to me today, Luke. It's been great.
awesome. Thanks, Taylor.